Alright YouTube, in this video we are going to see how to fetch values from the API. As you can see, there are three headings over there. The first one says location, the second one says temperature, and the third one says date and time. These values are fetched from the API. This is a JavaScript project, and you can get the source code in the description along with the steps to be followed. Fine, let's get into the tutorial. You can see, as I said, these are the headings which are fetched from the database. Sorry, it's not database, it's API. Fine, it's the time. You can now if you refresh it, it says know your location. If you click allow, only then it shows your location. Fine, and you can see it's the console, and these are the database, sorry, these are the data which we have fetched from the API, and these are the steps we are going to follow. The first one is we are going to create a file, or you can say we are going to create a page, HTML page. Let's name it as app.html, api.html, and inside the body we would be having three heading. The To make it simpler, I'm just using the heading. If you want, you can use some CSS styles, and you can use some advanced HTML tags. This is just a JavaScript project, so I'm focusing more on JavaScript, less on HTML and CSS. I'm not using CSS at all. I'm just using the three tags H1, H2 and H3. To show the difference, there would be the difference of height. Fine, the first step is we are going to run API on page load. This is a JavaScript project. If it is a jQuery project, we would have written document.ready. Since it's a JavaScript project, we are going to add an event listener to the windows, and this event listener will have the event load. The first parameter is load, and the second parameter what should happen when load happens. Fine. When the page loads, I just want to alert some simple message. Say, let's say page loaded successfully. If you click refresh, or if you load the page, or if you open the page, this code will run, or you can say the alert will show up. Fine. Now the second thing is we are going to declare two variables, which is lat and long. Based on the lat and long, we will fetch the weather. Fine. To fetch the lat and long, let's declare two variable, lat and long. Fine. Now we have a predefined, or you can say inbuilt function, which will fetch lat and long from by using JavaScript. For this, for just time convenient, let's comment the first line and print the values in console log. Fine. If we have location, then it should print, or you can say in the console log it should print. Let's get into the console to see the output. Click on the console. Now this is where the output is going to show up. Let's have a console.log, and inside that we are going to pass a string called location supported. If the location is not supported, it will be in the else part. Location not supported. Let's refresh it and see whether, yeah, it says it is supported, so the else part is not needed for this tutorial. I'm going to remove the else part. Now to get the lat and long, this function this class navigator is a class. Inside the navigator we have a static class called geolocation. Inside the static class we have a function called get current position, and we are receiving the position, that is lat and long, by using the show position argument. So let's see that by using the show position, create a function. This is a function name simply, and here we are going to retrieve the lat and long by passing the argument console.log. Inside the log, if you print pos, it will show the lat and long in the JSON format. If you load, it says know your location, allow. Now you can see inside the chords there is lat and long. To access the lat and long chords, if you click on chords, you can see this is a string. If you access it, you can get the latitude, and if you copy the longitude, it will give the longitude. If you refresh it again, you will see in the console the lat and long is available. Now save the values on the lat and long. We retrieved we just got the lat and long. Now it's time to save it to a variable which we have already declared it. Now it's time for the API. I'm using a website called which I will leave in the description. It will not allow you to give the key unless and until you create an account. You can see your API key is needed. For that you have to get into the account. I have already signed it, so I'm just getting into it. In the header section you can see it says the API key. Copy the API key and get into the home page of the website and click on the tab API Explorer, and inside you have to pass the key which you have got after signing up. Fine. Protocol is HTTP, format is JSON, and in the text field we are going to pass latitude and longitude. We just got the latitude and longitude from the console, using JavaScript, latitude, comma, longitude. And if you click show response, don't forget the comma. If you click show response, you will get the URL. These are the data which got fetched. It says my location. I'm in a country India. Fine. This is the URL, or you can say this is the API link. Now use the API link. Let's store the API link in a variable called API. Instead of using single quotes, I'm using backtick. Now this is statically passed. Now I'm going to pass dynamically. How I'm going to do it? You see, this is the syntax: dollar, curly braces, inside that pass lat, and again dollar, curly braces, open and close, pass long. Now let's console it so that we can see whether the lat and long has appended properly on the API or not. If we click refresh, let's save it, let's pin it, so for the future is it may be useful. Click on allow. You can see it is not showing up. We have printed the console log. Let's check it again. Click on allow. You see it says undefined. Why it is because the latitude and longitude is declared inside the function. So copy these two line and paste it inside the function. It is because of the scope error, sorry for that. Just allow it. You can see the variable latitude and longitude are appended properly. Now we are going to fetch the API. Before fetching the API, you just need to know some functions related to API. Whenever you want to use API, the function in JavaScript we are going to use two functions. The first one is fetch, and the second one is then. These two are function. The fetch function will accept the URL of the API, and the then function will show the response. You're sending the request to the API, and you will receive the response in the then function. Let's see how it happens. Now as I said, we are going to use fetch function, and this will accept the API, or you can say URL, and then is the response which we are going to get. We will get the response in some other format. We want the response to be in JSON. For that, in the first then, we will say convert the values which we have retrieved, the response which we have retrieved, into JSON format. So this would be a function. The function is a nameless function, or you can say anonymous function without name, and inside the argument we will receive response.json. This will convert your format into the JSON format so that we can fetch and return it. Once we return, in the next function then we will retrieve the value in the nameless function. Let's see how it's done. Let's create an anonymous function, or you can say nameless function. and inside the argument we will receive data. And if you type console.log and see data, you will get the data in JSON format. Let's see, let's get into the browser. You can see in the current section we get the temperature. We get two sections. The first section is current and the second section is location. So the location part, how to access it? As we accessed it the ladder log, the same way we are going to access it. It's inside the location, then copy the time. Location dot name, this will show you the current location. To get the date, it is also inside the location section. This is local time, just copy it and paste it. Now we need we have added location and we have added the date. Now it's time for the temperature, but it's in the other section called current. So to access it, data dot current dot temp underscore c. Fine, let's check whether it is working or not. Click on allow. Oh, it says there's an error. This error is because the capital case, sorry, case sensitive. You can see the location L is capital, but in the URL we got it as lowercase. If you click allow, now you can see the data is fetched. Now it's time to append the data into the appropriate headings. Fine. Now let's comment it so that we don't have to scroll up and down more often. So to get the h1, use the document. In the current document, get the element with tag name h1. Get the first h1. The first h1 to indicate it, square bracket 0, and change the inner HTML, change the content, change the location, change it from location to the fetched value. The same way in the current document, get the tag name with h2. To indicate the first h2, you have to pass the 0. The same way in the current document, fetch the h3. To indicate the first h3, use the 0 index. These are not the variables, these are not the strings, these are variables. So we don't need to pass it on the single quotes. If you allow, you can see the data has changed. Now instead of 30, you can have 30 Celsius, or you can add a font awesome icon. This is just an explanation, so I haven't used font awesome or much of the CSS or much of the HTML. You'll get these steps in the description along with the source code. Thank you so much for listening. To get some more useful JavaScript project, go through the playlist.